Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, August 5th. This will be a tactical analysis breakdown. So if you were someone that uses charts within your trading, or if you're interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. And also, if you trade Bitcoin, I will do a bonus analysis at the end. First off, a couple quick clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame. What that means is each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one, ticker symbol SQQQ, technically an ETF, but let's talk about this one as it's made a very impressive move today and now has a good solid pattern here headed into Monday. So let's get that pattern here drawn out. So first part of the pattern going to be this resistance portion of it right there. And then along with that, nice little lower part right there. Let's change that to green to represent support. And then to make it easier to see, let's just turn this all into the same color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big upwards move right here. A few golfers out there try to make it a little bit more visual, put the golf hole down here, and this would be a bull pennant pattern. Now, just because something's bullish in pattern doesn't mean for sure guaranteed it's going to go upwards, but I don't think it would shock anybody if this thing came up here and broke through the top part of that pattern and then accelerated with more momentum. Even if you want to just call it a self-fulfilling prophecy because people are buying because, oh, look, it's a bullish pattern. Oh, look, it's breaking out. Oh, I'm supposed to buy because I'm a breakout trader. I mean, if that's what you want to argue is causing it, at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is as traders, we just care about what the price is doing. So if you do get a breakout through there, not guaranteed to happen, but more than valid to think that that could generate some additional buying pressure. So if you like stocks, ETFs right around the $10 mark, you like bull pennant patterns, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one, NVDA, and overall, so far, so good, in particular in regards to, change that to green real quick, to this level of support that did ultimately hold this morning. This was a key level down here at 102.50. Going back through the history of things, you can see that 102.50 was a level of support right there, and it did come down, and the power of charts right there did a beautiful job of consolidating right around that area before getting a decent bounce right there. Sure, it's pulled back a little bit, but from a bigger picture standpoint, the key part is that it is still above the 102.50 mark. So moving forward, that remains definitely the very important level of support to watch as things continue to play out. In regards to levels of resistance, right now, all eyes up on that purple line right there, that being the very well-known 50-period moving average. And you can see right there, it actually acted as resistance once right there. So I'm not saying the price can't break through there, but that's definitely going to be the key level to watch if this bounce does continue. But like I said, most important thing that happened today, at least from a bullish standpoint, was that it was able to hold above 102.50 and even get a bounce from it. So let's see if this bounce continues into next week. Next one, DRMA, and we've already talked about this pattern with another one, but let's get it drawn into play once more. So we have our resistance part of the pattern right there. We have our support portion right there. And then just because I can't help myself, let's keep it one color so I can make sure that people can visualize the whole thing. So we have, whoops, that's not what I meant to grab. We have our resistance. We have our support. We have the big upwards move there. We have the golf hole down here. So we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. I don't need to say anything else. I want to respect your time. So no need to beat a dead horse. But yeah, if you like bull pennants, you like stocks down below the $5 mark, certainly keep an eye on this one. Next one, AMZN, Amazon, had a very brutal earnings, but overall, very popular stock. And when popular stocks get beat down, there can be some very nice movements. And right now we have some early signs. The early sign just being it's actually already started to bounce. Now, just because it's bounced a little bit does not mean for sure guaranteed this is going to continue. My point is just that it's, and this will mean a little bit more to those who have traded for a while, but I'm sure you've seen stocks that gap down, and then after the gap down, it just does something like this. Just bleeds and bleeds the rest of the day. But that was not the case here. It at least started to go up. Again, that doesn't mean that this is for sure the bottom and that for sure another, the bounce is going to continue, but it becomes a whole lot more plausible. So moving forward, key level of resistance to watch if there is going to be any sort of continued bounce became pretty apparent right here around that 169 mark. You can see that several times. Whenever the price got right up around that general vicinity, it just could not maintain or build any more momentum. So we'll see if the price can bring enough strength on Monday to push up through there. In terms of key levels of support, if there is any sort of move to the downside, I would definitely say a very important level right there at 163. And that is important because, and I'm not saying this will occur, but if the price were to come down to 163 and then drop below it, at that point, you'd have the price having gone right back to where it was. And I mean, not to insult your intelligence, but price movements with genuine strength are not going to go back to where they are. They're going to at least show signs of progress, and a quote-unquote sign of progress would be staying above 163. Next one, VSEE, big mover today, and now have it's in my opinion, I think a well-defined trend line here, and I think a lot of people will have noticed this line right there and drawn something very, very similar to that. And I emphasize a lot of people watching and drawing it, because when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, as I mentioned earlier, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can definitely produce some very dynamic movement. So I think there's a lot of people watching that level, therefore making it more than plausible and reasonable to think that if the price can't come up here and get a break up through that trend line right there, that break could in and of itself spur on that much more momentum. In terms of levels of support, pretty straightforward here. All about that pink line, the 200 period moving average. You can see right here, price came down here, found some beautiful support out there. So if there is any sort of deeper pullback, then right now right around $4.20 is the value of that moving average as a support. But yeah, no doubt about it. Very clean, defined trend line right there. Let's see if the price can get the break up through it. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use to sign up. Or if you're watching right on my site, there's an area on the webpage there you can use to sign up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. Next one, TSLA Tesla. And yeah, needless to say, the past couple of days have been absolutely brutal, but it goes back to what I talked about earlier. When you have very popular stocks getting absolutely beat down, there can be some very, very worthwhile bounces and movements on them. And right now, look how steep this trend line is right here. I mean, that's a very steep trend line, so still doesn't guarantee anything, but makes it plausible that if the price would be able to push up through that level, that break of that trend line could spur enough buying. And even if let's just say it's just a dead cat bounce. So it does something like this. Well, from a trading standpoint, this sort of movement from here up to here, I mean, that's a lot of wiggle room to pull out profits. So, I mean, that's why I'm talking from a trading standpoint. If you're some sort of long-term investor, I'm not quite sure the 30-minute time frame is what you should be using. But for us as day traders, like I said, even if you just assume that it's a dead cat, I mean, you can still, have enough wiggle room to pull out some quality profits. In terms of areas of support, you can see right here that it has been a long time since Tesla has been at this area of the chart, with the next key area of support being right down there around the 203.50 mark. So yeah, absolutely beat down, but let's see if the price can try to get some sort of break of that trend line next week. Next one, NVDA, and what I like about this one is you have some signs that maybe this thing's getting ready to make another push back to the upside. What is that sign? Well, check out where these lows were, and then here's the key. It bounced and then came down, but where did it come down to before trying to curl back upwards? Right here. In other words, we have a couple higher lows. We have some stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. I know I've said this a million times, but I'll say it a million more times. That doesn't guarantee anything. It just makes it a lot more plausible that maybe, just maybe, this thing is getting ready to pick up some more momentum and then just carry on with the upwards movement next week. So if there is going to be any sort of continuation in terms of the bullishness, key area of resistance to watch, going to be right there at that level, at the $99 mark. That's been the area that's really kind of been annoying, but overall keep an eye on that, and we'll see if the price can push up through there, and if that happens, then maybe you could get just that much more upside pressure. Next one, AMD, and overall decent sized bounce, but unfortunately pretty much giving it all back. And within the big picture of things, in fact, now let me draw this out with the actual, we have an area of resistance right here. We have the area of support coming up. So to be fair, at least there is a bit of an upwards trend line that's in place. However, when you connect it all together as a pattern, and let's keep it one color. So we have our support, we have our resistance, but then we have this big old move down right there. And we got to put the golf hole up here upside down. This would actually be a bear pennant. Now, like I mentioned earlier, just because there's a bullish pattern doesn't mean the price is for sure going to go up. Same is true on the flip side. Just because there's a bearish pattern doesn't mean the price is going to go up. My only point here is that, sure, the price has been working its way upwards, but I wouldn't get too excited about that. Now, if the price wants to start to prove itself, how can it do that? Well, step one would be getting back above that resistance line right there. And then the next step that would kind of put the nail in the coffin of, okay, maybe the bulls truly are here, is the price getting back above that purple line right there. But as of right now, you can see price is right down near the lower part of that pattern. So we'll see if the bearishness does ultimately get a breakdown and create that much more downside buying pressure next week. Next one, PLTR. Same general idea of what I talked about previously in terms of some indicators that maybe this thing wants to make another push to the upside. We have that low right here, and then you have this rollover, but that rollover only went right there. So you do have these higher lows, but like I said, doesn't guarantee a bounce, but makes it a whole lot more plausible. So on that note, that makes it very interesting. And once more, it is PLTR. I don't want to call it a cult stock, but definitely a very well-known stock out there amongst individuals, and one where sometimes those people look for any reason at all to buy. And even if that just produces a dead cat bounce, like I already talked about, as traders, we don't need a whole lot. We don't need a whole lot to make some money. But also what I like about this is just such a well-defined area of resistance right there at 24.85. You can see the price got rejected once right there, and then a couple more times late morning, early afternoon. So if the price can push up through there, that could generate that much more buying pressure just from people noticing that a breakout is happening, and you can get potentially one of those self-fulfilling prophecies in motion there. But all in all, popular stock, beat down, putting in some higher lows. So let's see if this higher lows is indeed a leading indicator of more upside movement early next week. Next one, TQQQ, and yeah, absolutely brutal day past couple of days. And we have some leveling out, which makes it interesting because you have somewhat of an upwards movement right there. You have a pretty well-defined area of resistance right there. But again, when you factor it all in and consider that the price was up here before dropping down, you now essentially have another one of these bear pennant patterns, which I just want to reiterate, doesn't mean for sure guaranteed the price is going down. But I want to get too excited with the action and just think that this thing's bullish all of a sudden. But also, to be fair, at least the price is going sideways. Compared to yesterday, very, 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 very little sideways action. But now you do have sideways action. So that does make it a whole lot more plausible to at least throw out the suggestion that, hey, maybe just maybe the selling pressure is alleviating. Maybe just maybe this thing is getting ready to turn back up. That makes it a whole lot more plausible than, when you have these periods where the price is literally just dropping the entire time. So you got some sideways movement. We'll see if this is indeed a leading indicator of the alleviation of selling pressure, and we'll see if this can get some sort of bounce next week. Now, I will get to Bitcoin here in just a second, but for you stock traders out there, again, if you like what you saw here, then definitely go get signed up for that free class. It'll be next week, Thursday, August 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So go get signed up, and it is a genuine live event, and I say that because there is a question and answer session, so please bring your questions, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. So yeah, go get signed up. Now let's talk about some Bitcoin. Now, one quick clarification here. I am on the 4-hour time frame now, so each one of these candlesticks no longer represents 30 minutes, but rather 4 hours, and that's because Bitcoin is open 24/7, and in order for this video and analysis to remain relevant for as long as possible, I want to try to keep this at a longer time frame. But so far, so good. The price is doing a good job of maintaining and sitting right here around that pink line there, which is the 200 period moving average, currently valued at 62,780. So I'm just going to go to, for the sake of the video, and let's just assume you're watching this on Sunday afternoon. Question number one, you need to ask yourself, nothing fancy, but just simply, where is the price at relative to 62,780? If in any way, shape, or form you're saying, well, actually, Clay, the price is up above there, that's a good sign, because that means, absolutely worst case, the price is still just kind of hovering right around that area, which is much better than more bearish momentum, showing up. Now, if you're answering the question that the price is way up here, obviously that would tell you that not only has the 200 period movement, or 200 period, moving average held, it's actually created a bounce point too, and there's some strength that has returned. So, there's a little bit of kind of common sense that goes into that. But what I'm trying to convey is that it's all revolving around that 62,780. Now, of course, you're saying, well, actually, Clay, the price is down below that level. Okay, next immediate question is, how far down below? If it's right here, don't get me wrong, that's still bad. That's not necessarily a good sign. But I mean, if it's way down here, then that would just be telling you that the bears are having themselves a very, very good weekend. So really going into the week, going into the weekend, it's all about that 200 period moving average. And is the price going to get a bounce? Is the price just going to totally collapse? Grab your popcorn. And as I invited the stock traders, I'm inviting you as a Bitcoin and crypto trader to definitely go get signed up for this free training, because what you learn about can and definitely should be used within the world of crypto and Bitcoin. So like I said, it'll be next week, Thursday, August 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So go get signed up, and like I mentioned earlier, bring your questions, because there will be that live Q&A. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do a couple things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below. If you have a request for me to do in a future video, put that in the comment section. I'll do my best to get to that in a future video. But yeah, any sort of comment and liking helps with the algorithm, helps out with the video, and just ultimately helps with the channel. So I thank you for that in advance. And like I said, go get signed up for that free training. Have a great weekend.